There are two types of relationships. There are nourishing relationships. Those are relationships that hold you accountable. These are relationships that challenge you. These are relationships that you can grow from mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They stretch you. And there are toxic relationships. These are relationships that drain you. These are relationships that are very critical of you.
So you want to surround yourself with people who can believe even when you can't believe.
We can't always find one person who's our dream person, meaning they can deliver everything we need all the time. So it's great to have friends that you can turn to who are advocates, or dream team members who, no matter what you say, they're going to look in your eyes and say, I believe in you. I know you can do it.
Because for any one of us, it's difficult to see the picture when you're in the frame. So you want someone else who can see the whole picture and help remind you yourself.
Yeah, sometimes when you're going for your vision and your dream, people will say, oh, you're just materialistic, man. Why don't you just be satisfied? All you care about is money and things and that type of thing. You're going to hear that. There's no question about it. At some point, you're going to hear that.
Get rid of the small talk. Get into some big talk. Stretch your mind. Go where you've never been.
What we're talking about is not about materialism. It's about thinking. You can apply it and get as wealthy as you want to be. There's no question about that, and a lot of people have. You can also apply it to your relationships. You can apply it to your health and fitness. You can use it any way you wish, but it's really about thinking.
As you get freer and you get more liberated and you get more expansive, it's a lot more fun. And people who are the naysayers and people who said it couldn't be done, take a look at your life and then they get interested themselves. And if they don't, you just bless that and honor their right to have a life that they choose.
Life is short and it can be great. Make it that way. Don't let the resistance knock you off track.
There's some people that are so happy and so at home being negative, they can walk into a dark room and begin to develop. You know who they are. And if you're sitting with the enemy right now, just blink your eyes. I see you.
This video email is from Laura, and she is like so many of us. She doesn't like change.
I hate change. I'm not happy with my life, but making huge changes seems way out there, and I don't want to end up being laughed at if I fail.
You know, if we'll be open to a new idea that maybe change can lead us to the growth that we really want in our lives, to a completely new who we are, a redefinition of our purpose in life, a full realization of our potential, then maybe change doesn't become this thing that we have to struggle with or wrestle with.
Most people live their lives completely at the whims of the circumstances around them.
It's easy to get comfortable in a life that isn't really that comfortable because we're used to it.
Get out of the comfort zone. You know, if you're comfortable where you are, you're in a bad spot.
You know, I was very corporately conditioned. I was programmed to go into work every day, to earn the salary check, and the thought of not having that salary check, the thought of not having that company car, the thought of moving out and doing my own thing scared me witless. It kept me in that place for 4 years beyond when I should have gone.
Don't settle for comfort. Life is too short. It can be a phenomenal trip.
Don't give yourself permission to continue to be where you are. Give yourself permission to grow. Give yourself permission to reinvent yourself. Give yourself permission to take your life to the next level.
When people say to me, I'm scared, I know where they are. Because you see, we're controlled by our conditioning. We're controlled by our paradigms. And they will keep us gripped because they don't like change. Status quo is their business.
Being comfortable is not a good place to be. And unfortunately, most of us were encouraged to get there. Just get enough money to pay your bills and everything's going to be great.
People who live lives of greatness are willing to be uncomfortable in the interest of growth. They're willing to stretch a bit. They're willing to be in some uncharted territory.
It's when you're uncomfortable that you're growing. It's when you're a little scared. You're excited and scared at the same time.
And that feeling at the conscious level is worry. At the subconscious level is fear, and in your body is anxiety. Now understand what this message is from your mind. Your body is just an instrument of your mind. This is your mind's way of telling you that you are about to grow.
It's when you're going after something, you have no idea how you're going to get there, but you've got to know you're going to get there.
It is not your mind's way of telling you that you cannot achieve what it is that you're about to do. You have infinite potential.
Step out and bet on yourself. and keep going until you reach a point of discomfort. Then you know you're growing.
A 100,000-mile journey begins with the first step. You take that one step, you'll find that the next step will become clear to you. And then the next step. And before you know it, things will have changed like that.
Now, if that's not something that you like or want to do, then you get to have the life you want. And you can stay stuck as long as you want. It's your life. But ultimately, if you notice, you might get really tired of feeling hemmed in, closed down, shut in to a life that is very repetitive. Some people live 90 years. Some people live 1 year 90 times.
The beautiful thing about being who we are is we have the ability to make choices. J. Martin Coe, in a little book called Your Greatest Power, said that is your greatest power. It's the power to choose. Every day I wake up, I make up my mind, today's going to be a great day. And you know something? It is.
If you learned to walk, you had some disappointment. You saw a toy across the room. You wanted to go get it. You stood up and you fell down, and you stood up and you fell down, and you stood up and you fell down, and you never once, when you fell down, went, that's it, I'm just not meant to be a walker. No baby does that. But as adults, we get older and we start thinking we're smarter than that. So we fall down in love and go, that's it, I guess I'm not meant to have love. I don't want to be disappointed and hurt again. We fall down in money. And we say, oh, I guess it's not for me to have abundance. It's not about that. It's about a willingness to have some stretch goals. And you are going to fall down and you are going to have some disappointment. But it's okay if along the way, what you're recognizing is you're part of something that is much bigger than a little bit of disappointment or having your dream come true exactly when you thought it should. You're living a life.
If you look at the most successful people that have ever lived, the ones alive today or the ones in the past, failure was a part of their journey.
And you're living in what Hildegard of Bingen in the 13th century called the best life there is. And she said each one of us must learn to live on the green growing edges of our own becoming.
You're here to do what you love to do. And then it's more than just following your bliss. It's really, really doing the thing that you love to do and learning how to do that well, not to think that, well, just because I can sing, I love to sing, well, let me go get a record deal. Let me go get a contract. Let me use the laws to manifest this. And it's like, well, no, let's learn to sing.
And that's where aliveness is. So you get to choose how much life you're willing to live.
We're here to serve our gifts to the world. That's why we got them. That's why we got the things that we love to do. I mean, it's an indication of what it is you came to do.
In your day-to-day activities, what really has meaning for you? And that'll be 75% of your purpose, of what you're passionate about. The other 25% can be calibrated by those around you that know you well. Ask them what it is that you're good at. Ask them what it is that they love about you, what you do at your best. Correlating both of those will be your purpose.
I've always loved music. And so my vocation revolves around music. It always has. I mean, I've always loved doing that. And I've met so many people who just really didn't know. They don't know what they came to do. I'm thinking like, well, you just came to express your creativity. Now, what is it that you feel good about being creative? I mean, how do you like to express yourself? What is the way you like to do that? And somewhere along your line of interest lies the thing that you came to do. And then the people who would be served by what it is that you love to do.
You watch most people, it looks like life was a practice run. They sort of tiptoeing through life, hoping they make it safely to death.
But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the gifts given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never pursued those dreams. You never used those gifts. You never acted on those ideas. You never used those abilities. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, we came to you. And only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever.
When a person is numb, they're so cut off from their own happiness, from their interior happiness. It's very difficult to know who you are when you're in that place. And that's when you need a spiritual healing. That's when you need something to shift inside. That's when you need to be still so that you can discover what it is that wants to speak to you, that wants to speak through you.
The wealthiest place on the planet is a cemetery. There you find potential never manifested. There you'll find books never written. There you'll find music never played. There you'll find ideas and businesses never given birth.
It's your life, and you get to choose. But I'll tell you this, there is way more joy and way more fun and way more aliveness if you're willing even to explore a little bit. And you don't have to take giant steps of change. You can take baby steps of change. Just be willing to explore a little bit. And what will happen is your change muscles will start getting stronger. And you'll start to have a little more appreciation for the value of little changes because they produce great results over time.
You're stronger than you can ever begin to imagine.
You and everyone watching this can do it.
You've got something special. You've got greatness in you.
How about living your dream lifestyle instead of just dreaming about it? Let's throw this to America's Dream Coach, Marsha Weeder.
The difference between a dream and a fantasy, like winning the lottery, is that in a dream you can design a strategy for getting there.
A fantasy is wishing for something. So if you're not emotionally involved with an image or an outcome that you want, a result that you want in your life, then you're idly wishing. You've got a fantasy. A dream is something that you have that you are very emotionally involved with. Now, this is absolutely essential.
In winning the lottery, short of buying a lot of tickets and doing a lot of hoping, there's nothing that you can do to make it happen.
Get pictures of where you want to go, put it on a vision board, and inundate your consciousness with these images, because the brain works in images. And so you want to think about this all the time. Get those images in front of you all the time, and then start taking steps toward the manifestation of your vision.
This is one of those great opportunities to get creative. This is one of those great opportunities to say, this is a dream that I have. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to do it. All the conditions and circumstances around me right now stink. I don't know how to do it.
In my experience interviewing world-class performers in all kinds of different fields, what I found is they decide exactly what they want. They put a vision together, and then they share that vision of where they want to go with as many people as possible who can help them.
It's funny that the shortcut step is to share your dreams, but the truth of it is, most of us don't want to. Let's face it, if I tell you my dream, you might laugh at me, or you might think my idea is crazy. Worst case, you might steal my idea. But the number one reason why I don't want to tell you my dream is because if I tell it to you, you might expect me to do something about it.
If you desire an outcome, it has a massive impact on the likelihood of it happening.
Where are you going to get the time? And where are you going to get the money?
Get a support team to help you. A support team is really just a group of people that when you get down, when you get tired, when you get frustrated, they say, you can do it. I believe in you. Keep moving forward. You're on the right track.
The number one way to experience greater ease and shortcuts on any dream is to share your dream with other people.
You find people who have done what you want to do, and then you enlist them on your mentor team. You call them up, you find them, you use your contacts to get to them, you do whatever it takes to get to them, and then you ask for their help. And the crazy thing that I've found over the years is, as I've done this for many times, is no one's asking. No one's asking these people, and more often than not, at least in my experience, they're willing to help.
I think we ought to have a close group of associates that we can brainstorm with, we can mastermind with, and of like mind. And we know that they would do anything for us, and we'll do anything for them.
The only reason that you're listening right now, feel me in your heart, because there's something in you that's demanding that you come up higher. And you've got to answer the call.
But what if I fail? But what if everyone's right? But what if it really is a bad idea? But what if I don't have what it takes?
I think you're going to lose belief. I think every great performer along the road to manifesting their vision loses belief. You may hear that they don't, but I've worked with a lot of them, and I think all of us have. We've all lost our belief at some time, and then there's a support system right there to pick you up. I remember when I was building my speaking business, and I just wasn't going anywhere with it, and I would talk to my parents, I would talk to my wife, Dawn, and they would say, without any question, when I was down, they would be there to say, you can do it. I know you're so close. You're going to break through. You're going to break through. And it would give me just enough courage, just enough mental toughness, if you will, to hang in there one more day and one more week until it finally broke. We all need help. We all need support along the way.
Get up and get going. I've lost everything 2 or 3 times. Never slowed me down.
8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt. So what? You can come back again. Willie Jolly, motivational speaker and author, said a setback is a setup for a comeback. You have comeback power.
I found, and I think you're going to find the same thing, is that dreams are contagious.
The secret here is to separate out what is your dream and what are your doubts and fears about it. The bottom line is, which one are you more committed to? Your dream or your doubt? Your dream or your fear or your reality? Prove that you're more committed to your dream by taking action.
To become that person that you know in your heart of hearts that you have it within you.
In the current economy, businesses are facing tough times. I've talked to business owners and individuals with small companies, and basically they all have the same question.
My business is hurting. We're making cuts, laying people off. I feel like I've done about everything I can do. I know that, sometimes in a tough economy you make decisions that end up being more courageous than others, and maybe I should be more aggressive. I really am just looking for some direction.
The nation's foreclosure crisis is centered in 4 states, but taxpayers across the country will feel the pain of failing.
The economy in America continues to spiral downward. The Dow Jones dropped another 300 points. Foreclosures reached an all-time high.
Stock market plunged today. The Dow is tumbling once again.
Just this week, information was released that 2.3 million American homeowners faced the loss of their homes last year.
We are being inundated today with economic information, the likes of which probably most people alive have never heard before. You have been given the God-given ability to create your own economy. And that's what you want to start to do. Quit listening to all these terrible news broadcasts. Does that mean that the economy is not in bad shape? It doesn't mean that at all. But if you study history, it's when things are at their worst that they're actually at their best. That is one of the laws of the universe. It's called the law of polarity. You've got to train yourself to look for the good in it. Go back and study during the Great Depression of the 30s. Do you know there were people earning millions of dollars, businesses being built? Not everybody went out of business. Some people went into business. This is a phenomenal time. There's great problems. There's great solutions in every one. Study it. Bring your mind to bear on the good side of what you see.
I think what you can do right now is be open-minded to a new idea. Understanding that the way that you've always done business may not be the way that you're always going to continue to do business. One of the great books, The True Believer, written by Eric Hoffer, he said that in times of change, it's the learners who inherit the earth.
It's easy to have faith when you have a job, or your business is successful, you can make payroll, your marriage is working out, your children acting like they have good sense. No one has looked at you and diagnosed you with a terminal illness. It's easy to have faith then. But the true test of faith is when life taps you on the shoulder.
You've got to look to your beliefs about money. Like, what do you believe about money? Do you believe that money is a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it something that that you shouldn't want? Is it wrong to want money? I would study your beliefs, because your beliefs will dictate your behaviors.
You don't necessarily get what it is that you want in life. You get what you believe you're capable of. You get what you believe you're worth.
And if your behaviors aren't in line with making more money, you won't make more money. You can wish for it all day long. It's not going to happen. But if you can alter your beliefs and expand your beliefs around money, you can automatically, just by default, change your behaviors around money, which will ultimately lead to making more money.
A person doesn't earn $50,000 a year because they want $50,000 a year. They earn $50,000 a year because they're not aware of how to earn $50,000 a month. Stop and think of the things that you're aware of today that you weren't just a couple of years ago. Awareness is the most phenomenal thing. If you were aware of how to utilize the potential that you've got, your whole life would change just like turning on a light. Awareness, you develop it through reading, you develop it through listening, you develop it through studying people who have done what you want to do.
Study people that have developed wealth and watch the way they live. I don't mean the cars they drive or the houses they own. That's all fine, but that's all icing on the cake.
Everything you own at the time of your death is going to belong to somebody else. But what you are is yours forever. No one is any better than you, and no one's any worse. We are truly equal. And what we want to do is really understand that. Do you know that everything, ourself and everything that we see, is energy? And it's in a source of vibration, pure unadulterated spirit.
There's an infinite amount of money. I don't mean there's an infinite amount of paper and gold. I don't mean that. I mean, making money is really unlimited because money really flows directly from ideas.
When you begin to start thinking, get grounded within yourself and be still and start thinking and not allow yourself to make decisions from your fears. Zig Ziglar calls fear false evidence appearing real. You want to be thoughtful and start thinking and strategizing and developing a plan of action or where you're going to go now, where you're going to move your life, what's next for you. Because there is something available for you. It's now time for you to start a new chapter in your life.
There's total abundance out there. Most people don't know that, but that doesn't mean you can't believe it. That's what wealthy people believe. They believe there's no end, there's no limit to the wealth they can build.
I remember a point in my life, things were working out real good, and I said, this is too good to be true. I had a talk show. They paid me millions of dollars to do the show. And when I came into New York and was in the studio in Manhattan Studios, I looked around and I said to my mentor, this is too good to be true. And he said, Les, there are no overachievers. I said, Mike, this is too good to be true. Something is bound to happen. And it did. Thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be established unto you. Death and life is in the tongue.
Don't be afraid of taking a risk. If you fail, you can get up and go at it again. Failing is a part of winning.
One of my favorite studies is on The Spirit of Opulence, written by Thomas Troward. He said that when we're drawing from the infinite, we never be afraid of taking more than our share. I just love that. He said that's not where the danger lies. The danger lies is in taking less and being willing to settle for that.
I am asked over and over again, is this a good time to take a risk?
Step out and follow your purpose.
Do you know the worst thing that can happen to you is not to take a risk? That's the greatest risk. See, I live with the idea that if you're not on the edge, you're taking up too much room. We've got to step out of the life we're in if we ever want to get to the one we're going for.
You know, a lot of people talking about waiting for their ship to come in. And Abraham Lincoln talked about the fact that the people who win in life are willing to swim out to the ship.
You weren't born believing that money is the root of all evil, or that you should go to college or you shouldn't go to college, or you should get married or not get married. Those are all programs from people of influence in our childhood. When we were little kids, people said this is right and this is wrong. And we believed it because we didn't have any frame of reference as children to argue with them. Well, now we do. Now we know what we're going to need to get where we want to go.
The quality of thinking that has defined who you are and the life conditions and circumstances you have now is not the same quality of thinking that's going to produce what it is that you want and move you beyond your comfort zone.
Now you believe it. Now what? Now what you're going to do is you're going to start taking action to move forward with building your wealth, because you're not going to be holding yourself back. You're not going to be sabotaging yourself with this belief that there's only so much, and who are you to want more? Who are you to dream bigger? Because you know there's enough to go around for anyone that can believe and then follow up their belief with action.
If you have an idea of a business that you want to start, and immediately you sit down with pen and paper and want to figure out how you're going to afford it, you might right out of the gate compromise the dream down, making it smaller, because you know that you can afford this much money. But as you start to pump up the muscle of being more creative, more visionary, dreaming bigger dreams, you'll also see that it's more powerful to really go for what you want and then figure out how to make it happen.
First, understand what your dream looks like. And then when you know what your dream is, then decide if you have enough money or not, because how possibly could you know how much money you need until you start taking action towards it?
In our conscious mind, we have this thought that we want to be, do, or have more. We want this big income, we want better relationships. But that thought then has to be in harmony with the belief of who we are. And oftentimes it's not. And here I think is where I know for me in my life, many times, and I think a lot of people get stuck because this is where we surrender.
I think there's two major kind of beliefs. There's true belief, where you've actually experienced something and you know it's true. You believe it because you actually lived it. That's true belief, 100% belief. And then there's the belief of a lot of superachievers, which is what we call manufactured belief. In other words, as emotional creatures, they've literally talked themselves into believing something they've never done before, that they don't even know is possible, but they talk themselves into it. We call that manufactured beliefs. And a lot of people, before they ever accomplish their visions, have 100% belief in their ability to do so because they've talked themselves into it.
What else in you that you haven't used that now the universe is demanding that you bring it out here?
Really get very clear on the vision of what it is that you want to do. Internalize that vision, become emotionally involved with it. And then when you become intuitively aware of an action step, an idea, one of those out of the blue moments that you can do that would move you closer, that's when you act, regardless of the condition or circumstance. Those are the 3 steps. Build the image, internalize the image, and then take action.
When you are actively engaged in making things happen, you don't have to be depressed.
I don't think most people will do what we're talking about. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should do it. And that's one of the reasons to do it, is because most people won't. It gives you an unbelievable opportunity to move ahead.
A negative person can look at opportunities and all they will see will be the obstacles. But a positive person, a person who has an optimistic view of life, they can look at the obstacles and all they will see will be the opportunities.
And everyone could do it, but chances are they won't because of all that lack and limitation programming. Years, and if someone is 30 years old, chances are they have 30 years of lack and limitation programming. That's a lot to overcome. So most people probably won't do it, but you can do it. All you have to do is take the steps now. Take the steps starting today. Forget the past. It's over.
Most people don't realize the 40-40 plan is gone. This is the era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. The 40-hour-a-week doing the same thing for 40 years, that day is gone. That was a domestic economy. This is a global economy. You will have, if you're just getting into the job market, at least 5 careers before you're 65. This is the time you want to be creative. This is the age of what Ralph Waldo Emerson calls the age of self-reliance. You want to be creative. What are the various things that you can do that you're not doing right now? Today, as Robert Schuller would say, you either expand or you are expendable. Be creative. Start thinking, what is it I can use my talents and abilities for?
I think if you'll start to focus on how you can rather than why you can't, you're going to find that not only is your business going to grow, but the people in your business are going to grow.
Your success or failure in life is directly related to the quality and the quantity of the service that you provide. And as you're looking at yourself, whatever area you decide to get into, just make up your mind. You're going to be creative and relentless and disciplined and innovative, and that you're going to provide more service than you get paid for.
You and hundreds of thousands of other people find themselves in a very similar position. One thing we do know is that change is inevitable. The way that we've always done things isn't always going to work in the future.
What are your assets? What are your gifts? What are your talents? What are the things that you can do right now where you are with what you have?
Chances are the conditions and circumstances for you right now are not conducive to you making this big change in your life. You have to find the yes people in your life. You have to find the yes conditions. You have to find the yes circumstances.
You want to be connected with like-minded and like-hearted people, people who you trust and believe in, people who are moving in the direction of their dreams, people that can inspire you and that you can inspire them, people who can help you to open some doors that you don't see right now, people that can help you go to the next level. You want to be connected with people that are on the way rather than in the way.
When you've got enough money, you can do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for as long as you want, and you don't really ever have to be responsible to anyone else. You're never beholden to anyone else unless you want to be, unless you choose to be. It gives you the ultimate freedom, which is the freedom of choice.
If you're going through hell, don't stop. Keep moving.
In Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, he brought out a very, very important point. He said that an educated person is not necessarily a person with an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. He said an educated person is a person who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they can acquire anything they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others.
Our education system is nothing more than a system that memorizes data. I don't know many people in the world that find Pythagoras particularly useful in their day-to-day activities. So we come out of an education system without ever asking ourselves quality questions, the kind of questions that people need to live a fulfilled life.
You have a conscious mind and you have a subconscious mind. Your conscious mind can originate ideas, it can accept ideas, and it can reject ideas.
Most of us have been programmed and conditioned our entire lives to gather information in this part of our mind using our physical senses. And it's through gathering this information that we then begin to form ideas.
Now, your subconscious mind, unlike the conscious mind, has no ability to reject. Whatever you give to it, it'll accept it. It does not know big from small. It doesn't know good from bad. Everything just is. It accepts whatever you give to it as real.
This vibration begins to move our bodies into a certain form of action. We begin to produce actions. We begin to feel a certain way, act a certain way, behave a certain way.
We have intuition. We have perception, the will, the imagination, reason, and memory. And these are all perfect. They have to be exercised like the body. You exercise the mind, it too will become strong. Intuition gives you the ability to pick up vibration.
Unfortunately, most people will use it wrongly. In their conscious mind, they will choose what it is that they want. They will become emotionally involved. They'll impress this idea upon their subconscious mind. And while they're just driving down the road, an idea just pops right into their mind, out of the blue. And this idea will be in harmony with what it is that they've asked for. It'll be in harmony with the goal that they've set. And the first thing they do is they say, are you sure? You know, is this the right idea or is this the wrong idea? Should I do this or should I do that? Is this good or bad?
What you don't like, reject it. And what you do like, accept it. You've been given the ability to think. It's the highest function that you're capable of.
When we get this intuitive idea, when this sixth sense, when this hunch comes in, you don't want to ask, is this right or wrong, or good or bad, should I or shouldn't I? Because that's a limiting question, and the answer is yes to both of those. There's reasons probably why you should, and there's reasons why you probably shouldn't. The better question to ask is this: if I acted on this idea, would it then move me in the direction of the model of perfection that I'm claiming I want in my life? And if it will, you've got to move.
So stop giving yourself those excuses that say, well, you know, I'm not good enough for this, I'm not good enough for that, because that, again, is your conditioning. That's rubbish. You can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve in the same way that Bill Gates has done it, in the same way that Richard Branson has done it, or in the same way that anybody that you get inspired by has done it. Understand that you have exactly the same faculties, the ability to choose and shape your environment accordingly. Tune into that power, and you will create an extraordinary life.
Well, I believe that we're all radiant lights of God. You are a radiant light of God. I'm a radiant light of God. And if you don't want to use the word God, we are radiant lights. We're energy. We're pure energy. So we're always radiating something. We're radiating something, and I would choose to be one who radiated love. And I feel like when I'm radiating that, the universe corresponds to its own nature. So I'm radiating this beautiful essence that is love, and I find love.
You define your purpose by first taking a look at your life, the things that you're doing for work and the things that you're doing for fun, and say, what do I really get excited about? What really gives me that psychic income, that feeling that I'm doing better?
That kind of feeling is telling you, it's feedback from the spiritual core of you, who you are inside. That's telling you your purpose.
And you will find that there is magic in this. As the image and the feeling tone get in coherence, it's like laser. and things really begin to shift fast.
I know today's going to be a great day. There are no problems, there's only lessons. Everything that happens is to teach us something, to move us ahead to the next phase of our eternal journey.
This isn't a fantasy world we're talking about. This is the real world. This is something you can do. People with less talent, less intelligence, less education have done this.
Find out what you love and then dedicate your life to it.
If you at all believe in the law of attraction, you know that you've attracted this film into your life at this very moment in your life. You're not here by accident. I'm not sitting here talking to you by accident. I encourage you now to live your life, to live into your full potential, to recognize the greatness within you, and to begin to express it. The world is waiting for you.
You have something special. You've got greatness within you. Answer the call. It's time.
Bob, so many people are on their way to achieving success, and they get this attitude from the people around them of, well, who do you think you are anyway? Can you expand on that a little bit?
I think that comes from two sides. First of all, the person that's studying is starting to change. And sometimes, though, they get so enthusiastic about it, they want to cram it down everybody else's throat at the same time. And that moves them further away. But it's a natural thing that you're going to get resistance because the other people don't understand where they're coming from. And let's face it, I mean, you're right out of the box when you start to study this. It isn't the mainstream. You're doing things that's totally different. It's not taught in school. A very small percentage really understand and live with this. So they're going to get a lot of flack. They have to understand that and understand that people don't know what they're saying and just let it go. If something's going wrong, it has a tendency to hold your conscious attention. Emerson said the only thing that can grow is the thing you give energy to. What we've got to do is stop ourselves just flat and say, wait a minute, I don't like that. What would be the opposite to that? And then write out what would be the opposite and then keep repeating it like a mantra if you have to. But we have a tendency to focus on what's wrong. And we've got to get away from that. And get away from any people. Don't let people talk to you about it.
One of the things that you taught me, Bob, that has been huge in my life is that force negates. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's a beautiful thing to learn because we have a tendency to want to do that. If something won't work, we're going to jam it. It won't. Force negates. Let is the key word. We let things happen. Now, that doesn't mean we don't give it lots of energy. But force is not a good thing. There's no power in force. I think they get into abusive relationships because they attract them. And it's low self-esteem on their part. And when they understand that, they probably stop it. I think most abuse, it's a man's problem. It's not a woman's problem, more often than not. And I think if a man sees another man being abusive verbally or otherwise, he should let him know that that just isn't going to fly. You know, you're not going to put up with it and put a stop to it. But the person stays in. People do the thing they fear the least. They're probably more afraid of being alone than they are of being in the bad relationship. But if a person starts to develop their own self-confidence, the abusive relationships will go their way.
How does someone make more money, Bob?
If people want to earn a lot of money, they've got to understand they have to have multiple sources of income. You cannot have one source of income and become extremely wealthy. Or if you do, I don't know what it is. But with multiple sources of income, anyone can become wealthy. So it's worth studying. It's something we should understand. Now, when we talk about multiple sources of income, we're not talking about multiple jobs. That's what I thought it meant first, and I had 5 jobs passed out in the street. No. A source of income is where you provide service and you receive a reward. Working happens to be the worst way to earn money. We shouldn't work for money. We should be working for satisfaction, something that's meaningful. You provide service to earn money. And of course, if you want to really learn how to do it, study it and it'll happen. Find somebody that's doing it. I'm doing it. I help people study it.
You can do what the most successful people do in terms of financial success, and they look at the profit centers. They look at what makes the most money in the shortest amount of time. I mean, I'll give you an example. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a gentleman that owns a $300 million real estate empire, and he said to me, I said, how do you run such a big company? Because I've just never had that many employees, but I've never had that kind of success either. How do you do that? And he said, it's real simple, Steve. I come into the office every day and I ask myself one question. What makes me money the fastest? And then I do that. And then the second question is, what makes me money the second fastest? And then I do that thing. And then third and fourth and fifth and so on. And he says, and that's how I built the $300 million company from scratch. He said, most of my competitors are focused on all these peripheral things that really don't add to the bottom line. He says, I don't do that. I focus on the profit.
That weight loss model, we're in problem-solving mode. There's something we want to get rid of, and as soon as, I might diet and exercise, and then as soon as the scale shows that I've lost a couple of pounds, I'm back on the brownies. So it's not an incredibly powerful way of living life. I do find that it's, I see people have better results when they're honest about where they are, we'll call that their reality, but more committed to the dream of where they want to go. Let's take the big dream, break it down into projects that you can easily accomplish in 1 month or less. It's a short enough period of time where you can stay passionate and excited, but a long enough time where you can see a result. If we don't see results, we're going to give up. One of my missions in life is to change the way that we think about and talk about our dreams. So instead of it being, gee, maybe someday, it's like, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do to prove to myself and the world around me that I'm serious about it. I almost don't care what it is that you're doing as long as you're doing something every day to make the dream happen.
Can you give me some tips on how to stay successful even during these tough economic times?
Especially in tough times, one of the keys to staying mentally tough is staying around people. Getting around people and maintaining friendships and business contacts of people who are more mentally tough than you are. And then just exposing your consciousness to that type of thinking. Most people aren't that mentally tough, so if you've got contacts, if you have associates, if you have friends, business partners who are mentally tough, and you get around that on a day-to-day basis, you'll see that there's very little attention paid to details that don't add to the bottom line. And so you try not to get distracted with things on the outside. A lot of people are distracted by things that people say, the economy, the stock market, all the different things going on around them. But the mentally tough stay focused. They keep their concentration right on exactly what it's going to take to get to the next level. And they don't let outside circumstances really impact their thinking.